What is up, everyone? Just a few quick marathon tips for those of you that are looking to run your first marathon, or maybe you've run a couple marathons but you didn't quite take it seriously and you're just looking for a way to improve your experience. So tip number one, decide what your goal is for the experience that you want to have in the marathon. So there's 4 different outcomes. You can either decide that you just want to finish the marathon, and what do I mean by that? What I mean is you could go run a marathon right now. It's just going to be very, very painful. It's going to suck, and then you're probably not going to recover very fast from it, and you could get hurt, which leads to goal number 2. You can finish the marathon healthy. Goal number 3, you can try to finish the marathon fast, or goal number 4, you can try to finish the marathon healthy and fast. And fast is all relative. And so whatever experience you want to have, that's going to dictate the training program that you're going to undergo, right? That's going to dictate the length of the program. So 3 to 6 months of training, building up capacity and volume. And it's going to dictate the type of workouts that you do as well. And it's going to dictate maybe the team that you need around and the knowledge that you need to seek out. So that's tip number 1 is, what do I want from this marathon experience? Tip number 2, where I see a lot of people get in trouble and get upside down with marathon training, is they don't know what's called programming. So when I look at a calendar, how far out is my race? And then I work backwards in time to design a training program. A lot of people will just try to increase that long run every single weekend until they get to about 20 to 22 miles, and they'll call that a day. And that is effective for some people, but there's just a better way of going about it. And so you can break down your training program into monthly cycles, weekly cycles, and daily cycles. So what elements in a training program, easy runs, recovery runs, long runs, tempos, fartleks, hills, what strength training, drills, efficiency, what type of training elements do I have, and then how many of each of those elements do I need in a month, in a week, and in a day. And then you can start to design a program. And a general rule of thumb for programming is progression and deload weeks. So you have frequency, intensity, and time. So how often am I running? How fast am I running? And then how much time am I running in about a weekly 7 to 14 day block? And I can adjust in those 3 different elements to make a training program. And a general rule of thumb is you want to increase overall stress, running related stress, by 10% each week. And that's just a general statistical rule of thumb. So if I ran 10 miles this week, I wouldn't want to run over 11 to 12 miles the next week, but also take in consideration the speed in the hill. So if I ran 10 miles at an average of 10-minute mile pace, well then the next week could be 11 miles at an average of 10-minute pace. But if I run 11 miles and as I get more fit, I run it at 9-minute pace, now I've increased 2 of those factors. I've increased the volume for the week and the speed. So my overall stress levels have actually been amplified. And so that's where I see a lot of new people to marathons get in trouble there. It's just programming. Probably seek out a coach or seek out knowledge, and that's going to just have the best experience. And then finally, a traditional model of deload is I'm going to go build for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? So increase volume or intensity or frequency by 10% for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm going to have a deload week where I cut to 50 to 60% of that peak week. And that's going to allow my body to absorb the training, and I'm going to avoid overtraining. I'm going to stay physically fresh. I'm going to stay mentally fresh as well. And then 2 more quick tips. These are really good ones. A lot of people, when they think of a marathon, they think, I'm just going to run as much as possible, which isn't 100% wrong. However, what you're doing by stacking mileage, you want to make sure the foundation of the house is as strong as possible. So what is the foundation of stacking mileage? It's the underlying biology and physiology in my body. So do I have proper movement mechanics? Do I have proper strength? Do I have proper range of motion in my body? Am I able to execute certain movements with the coordination and the strength? And that is the foundation on which you're stacking mileage and stacking volume. And if you have a faulty foundation, then you can only stack so high, right? If a building doesn't have a big, wide, strong foundation, reinforced and fortified, you can only build the building so high. And that's the same thing with running. And Med Keflezighi, the American silver medalist and Boston Marathon winner, he once is quoted in Runner's World, I believe, that if he had to choose between running an extra mile or two, so 10 to 15 minutes, versus doing some athletic-looking movements, and he had to pick between the two, he would run less and spend more of that time doing the athletic movements and the foundation. That's how important it is to have the underlying athleticism, coordination, strength, and power. And then finally, some low-hanging fruit for marathon day. Try to calculate, so go to the race profile, go to the website, and look at the different elevation changes. Look at what the temperature is going to be. Try to find out as much about the course that you're going to run as humanly possible, and then try to do some simulations. That way, when you're out there, you've already faced a lot of these variables. You've already faced a lot of these unknowns in training. And then training your gut for nutrition and training your gut for hydration, that is a skill set in itself. So train your gut with nutrition, taking in about 200 to 400 calories every hour and playing around with the different substances, the different textures, the different taste of the fuel you're taking in. Make sure you're not only hydrating with water, but you're hydrating with electrolytes and paying attention to how much fluids you're taking in, about a liter every hour or so. And then finally, pay attention to skin abrasions, making sure that you have proper gear with your socks, your shoes are fitted well, knowing that your feet are going to swell up over the course of a few hours and as you get dehydrated, and work with hydration. And then get some anti-chafing underneath your armpits, on your chest, and in between your groins and on your feet. Because gut health, blisters or skin care, and then finally fitness are the three biggest reasons that people don't hit their goals in the marathon. So I hope you enjoyed these tips, and I can't wait to help you guys some more. Happy running.